Alright, so my computer died and I just opened up a shed drawing that I did previously. It's slightly different, but all the ideas are the same. The speckled part, all I did was change the appearance of the floor to speckled. While we're in the hidden line, it shows up as speckled, not a big deal. Um, the big thing I'm going to show you right now is how to create a section view of your wall. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to go up to view at the top and I'm going to hit section. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a slice out of my wall. And as I do this, I'm going to start outside and pull inside. I want to make sure I'm pulling 90 degrees and going to anchor it here. So what this shows right now is the field of view. So I'm going to see a window and everything in there. That might make my wall section a little bit more complicated. So I'm just going to pull it so I'm just sitting in just wall. I don't want to include any windows or anything. It's not that you can see them, but it's easier to draw later on. You'll see what I mean. So I'm just going to click, and now I have a section. So now, if I look at my views, there's something, I have a new view show up, and it's called sections. So I'm going to open that, and I'm going to open it up, and I'm going to see that it says section 1. So a couple things with this. First of all, you have this big ugly box. This is called your, where is it? Okay, so I clicked my box, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down here to the bottom where it says hide crop region. I'm going to click that, and my box is going to go away, so it's a little bit cleaner. So now you can see I have my walls and my roof. And another thing that's important is, all right, so now I have this section. So I actually forgot there's one thing more we need to add. We made a fancy wall section. We need to fix our roof. So we're going to come back to our roof plan. I'm going to select the roof, and I'm going to come to edit type. And actually there's an easy way to do this. I'm going to hit cancel. I'm actually going to come to this drop down. So when we first did this, I think it was just generic 12-inch. What we have now is you should be able to, in your pull down menu, you should be able to see something called wood rafter 8-inch asphalt shingle insulated. So we're going to click this. We're going to edit type, and we're just going to duplicate it. I'm just going to call it, I'm just going to add the little 2 at the end, hit OK, and then hit OK. So now I actually have a fancy roof. That's actually the standard one we're going to put on there anyway, so that's a good place to leave it. All right, so we're going to come down here to our wall section, and so what we're doing now is we're working on actually creating plans, actually a printout for our floor plan and our shed. So something I'm going to do real quick too is I'm going to click up here where it says thin lines, and that is going to show me, it's going to thin up the lines a little bit so it's a little bit easier to point things out. Okay. So here we are once again. So now I just see these generic lines, and that's because my detail is lower than what it should be. So I'm going to come down here to the bottom, and come down to detail level coarse. I'm going to change this to medium, and now I can see my different layers showing up. So what this should be is my siding, my sheathing, my studs, and my drywall on the inside. So we need to actually go back and fix one more thing. So for our floor plan, we're going to select our wall, and we're going to edit the structure. This softwood layer, so for a 2x4 is technically only 3.5 inches thick. So we're just going to change that real quick. So now it's 3.5 inches, which is truly accurate. Hit apply, hit OK, and then now we are officially done again. So I have all my sections. Let's say your sections are reversed. Come back to your floor plan, and select a wall. Make sure these arrows are on the outside. So if they're inside, that means your sheathing and your siding is going to be on the inside. You want to make it on the outside to make it work for your section view. Anyway, we're going to come in here, zoom out a little bit. The first thing we're going to put in is under the Annotate tab, we're going to put in installation. And so we're just going to choose the center of our 2x4 stud. So the default for this is 3.5 inches, and that happens to be the perfect thickness for our 2x4s, which are actually 3.5 inches thick. So we're going to come to our endpoint. I'm just going to drag up, and we're just going to fill this thing in. And I'm going to click all the way up to this slant right here. After I finish my installation, I'm going to hit escape. And then if you look at our roof, the roof we have selected, it says insulated. So we need to draw insulation in our roof as well. So once again, choose insulation, choose the middle of my 2x4, and I'm just going to kind of continue this up to where it kind of goes off of the page. So if you see here, our insulation isn't very thick because it doesn't match the member. So what we need to do here is select our installation, and these members are actually 8 inches. So we need to make our installation 8 inches thick here. Change that to 8. Then over here, I'm going to hit apply. Actually, it's 7.5. Gotta get back in construction mode here. And if it kind of overlaps, you know what? That's not the end of the world. So now we need to label all of our layers. So while we're in Annotate tab, we're going to click Text. We're going to make a text annotation, and we're going to choose this 2-segment leader. So the proper way to do this is to come down to some part on the wall. I'm going to come up at a 45 or eyeball 45-degree angle a little bit, click, then come horizontal, and then I'm going to name this. So we're going to call this 3/4 inch cedar siding. And I'm just going to click outside the box. And if you'll notice, that is huge compared to the rest of the wall. So I can't change the size of my text. However, I can change my scale. So I don't need to escape out. I can just come down here to the bottom. And I'm going to choose a slightly larger scale. I'm going to come down to 1/2 inch. And that looks a little bit better. Because I accidentally made a little arrow here. Just hit escape, and he'll go away. So now I need to come and re-drag my labels. It's kind of a pain in the butt. Typically move the front half, then bring the caboose, and that looks a little bit better. So here we come for our next label. We're going to zoom in a little bit. I'm going to click. I'm going to come up at a 45-degree angle, and if you'll see, this actually matches up. So I just want to make sure these two leader lines are parallel. That looks pretty good. Then come across and match that up, and this is going to be our 1/2 inch plywood sheathing. Click, boom, done. Now I'm going to have another one come down here a little bit, click on my installation, make sure we match up here. This is our fiberglass bat insulation. And then also in here, just kind of click. Actually, I'm going to move that down, so I'm going to hit escape to undo. Come back in, make sure I have a 2-section leader. Come across. And these are our 2x4 studs, 24 inches OC, which means on center. So a shed is not a very heavy building, so we can spread out our studs a little bit more. Then our last label, come inside, here we go, bring it up, bring it across. This is our 3/4 inch gypsum wallboard, aka drywall. Okay, so all the components of our wall section have been labeled. Now we need to come up and edit our roof. Alright, so a roof is just a wall that goes on top. So I'm going to click in my rollerball, I'm going to scroll up a little bit, and we're going to label the same stuff. So 45 degrees, looks like I'm pretty close to being lined up. This is we have 2 by 8 rafters, 24 inches on center. We have make sure that's lined up, fiberglass, that insulation. We have our little pan. We have our 1/2 inch plywood sheathing. And then the very tippity top, we have our asphalt tar paper shingles. Okay, one more thing, we have our concrete slab. Come up here, 6-inch concrete slab. Click. Now we are done with our annotations. So again, I'm going to hit save. And last part is we're going to make a drawing out of this, actually set of plans.